Deleted. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Something unusual happened in West Africa, specifically Guinea-Conakry. Some few days ago, we heard that the president Mamadou Doumbouya was out of the country to Greece for a vacation. Then we had the military hijacked national television to give a statement telling the whole world that Mamadou Doumbouya is out, but they are protecting the land. And nobody should dare think of doing something unusual in Guinea because they support Mamadou Doumbouya. But analysts are saying this doesn't add up. This is not the first time we are seeing a head of state moving out of the country. Even in the Western world, it happens. In Africa, our leaders travel for vacations, for health treatment. Yet, we have never seen on national television the military coming out to make an announcement. Because the moment you see the military saying this, it means a coup. So, analysts on News World are saying this doesn't add up. The moment you see the army doing this, it means that there is friction within the army. And to the point that all the army agreed to hijack national television to announce the departure of the president and claiming they are in charge is bringing out a lot of issues. It means things are not right within the circle. And this has opened doors for rumors.
Good evening and thank you for joining us to decrypt on the Guinean president. Mohamed Doumbouya is on vacation for a few days in Greece, but its absence quickly fueled speculation. Urge the army to publicly reaffirm. It must be to the head of state is called the Guineans to calm. At the same time, the Secretary General of the Presidency, Minister Amara Kamara, sees his influence strengthen. Is it a recomposition of power at the top of the Guinean state? Or a procedure? In the management of a continuity, we ask ourselves the question. Good evening, lady, and welcome. Thank you, good evening, Charlotte. But just according to the Guinean army, deemed it necessary to issue a communique to reaffirm. It must be to the President Mamadi Doumbouya. When it is simply a question of leave Ben, it is. This is the question that everyone is asking. When we see the army reaffirm its loyalty, we are in a country, for example, where there is a mutiny, the army who says we remain loyal to the power in place. There is an attempted coup even if it is done by the military. You have the military hierarchy who come to say we stay with the President of the Republic. What is curious is that if nothing happens in Guinea, what is the meaning of this expression? I could have understood even that the military among themselves, we can understand, but that we come to the national television to reaffirm the loyalty of the army to the President of the Republic. They are the ones who gave grain to all those who suffer from problems. To the power of Doumbouya, everyone is wondering why they do it are their problems. Especially since it must be clearly stated by a president of the Republic. And just like any citizen who works at a certain time, he takes a break to talk about his vacations. But in all our countries, presidents take their vacations. But why also this hypermedia coverage of a president who goes on vacation? Is it right that this type of declaration is it common in transition regimes? Does it translate here? Rather, particular concerns within the power. No, it's not common. We see it when there is friction inside the army. When there are problems, when there are mutinies, where we know that something is going on, we see the army reaffirming. We saw it in the Benin with before the coup is over, etc. You see the military say, we are with the power. We understand at this moment that there is a part of the army who carried out a mutiny. There is a part of the army that wanted to make a coup. But there is another part of the army loyal to power, which is in place. We understand a declaration in this sense, but Guinean when all is loyal to the President of the Republic. But when you make the statement, you make the declaration. Why, this is the first thing. The statement is also used for what? Because a president is absent. Such a declaration must be made. But the military will be because our presidents leave all the time. On a trip to the United Nations. On an official visit. Well, if necessary, well, the president is not here. We are here. We ensure the security of institutions. But we risk making the army ridiculous. That's what the army does every day. It's not because the president goes on vacation that the army must be loyal to the president. Loyalty is what the military is all about. But CE is not that has no relationship with the vacation. It's a bit like a clap in a serene sky. But that's why everyone took these statements. And each one went there with his own interpretation. Especially since the context was favorable. Also to all kinds of interpretations. And the communique especially insisted on the continuity of the state. Not to give in to the rumors that this insistence translates. According to you on the political climate in Guinea, that's why I've been talking about context for a while. Because it is not with the photo only the problem of the president's health is posed to me. I say it frankly, I don't like these debates. A president of the republic is a human being. There is nothing more normal than that he gets sick. There is nothing more normal than that he goes for treatment. Now you have to stop as soon as someone is sick. We can already see he's dead. But it is up to us to review our system in the democracies. Who are true democracies. When the president is sick. It is said that the president is sick. We even published the health bulletin. President Talon has done so. When he had surgery, he said clearly that he had surgery, but when you do it clearly, it closes la porte to all those rumors there, unfortunately, when you don't. And if, for example, of ethical view of ethics, yes, it's important because he is the president of the whole population. Because a sick president poses a problem for the recall when we put down the conditions for the application to LA. A medical certificate is filed. That poses a problem because we wonder how some of our presidents have been able to file a medical certificate who dared to sign this, since after all, everyone knows that it does not. But there are a number that are taken to have a president that is in good health, because good health is essential to be able to govern a country. But this does not prevent with a very good medical certificate. He can get sick right now. Everything you need is there to be able to provide him with the care to continue its governance work. The same situation currently exists in Cameroon. The question is how to reassure the people who is waiting to know how there is doing. But the cases are different anyway. Because Doumbouya'S we see the Cameroonian president. We don't see it in fact. It's true that it poses the same problem. The health of the worker. That's why I said we have to stop with this to do for the case of the Cameroonian president. How many times have we announced his death? I think it's a bit too much. Is a person who belongs to a family. It's not nice to watch a newspaper or hear someone talking and announce your father's death. I remember what our teacher in ethics and deontology, the late journalist Baisidi Benbai, told us. It says when you want to say something about someone, put yourself first in the person's place. When you mean someone's father, put your father instead. I believe that if journalists respected this one did not agree with CES debates, we leave our job to be in the rumor. In a number of things that don't make us move forward. For me, the real fight to fight is the transparency in the state of health of the heads of state. And this is a right for the populations, since it is provided for in our constitutions. To note that the head of state, from a health point of view, is no longer able to manage the country. That the LA Constitutional depends on that they take his responsibilities to declare the vacancy of the... But it must be done in the transparency. Because when IT is not in the transparency, this is what opens the door to all kinds of interpretations. Someone who is not yet dead is declared dead. It is said that he is sick and is being operated on TV. It has nothing to do with what we can avoid all this by showing transparency in relation to the state of health of the head of state. There is what is called medical secrecy. But he is the first of the citizens. And his health concerns all citizens. It's not like my health that we can't talk about. Because it's not that much. And to return. So in Guinea, General Ibrahim said, Bangura, chief of the force staff. The Guinean army evoked precisely in its communique an unwavering loyalty, indefectible to President Mohamed Doumbouya'S, must be seen a message to the Guinean population, to international partners, or finally to the rescue of power, well with the choice of words. You can see it at all. And you can ask yourself all kinds of questions. And when the army talks about his loyalty, why talk about constant loyalty? It says why it is additional qualifier. Why talk about unwavering loyalty? Doesn't it hide somewhere? Within the army of people whose loyalty, I would say, is defective. Because in fact, that's the problem. Why this? This is the command of the army needs in a circumstance. Or as he says, it is rumors. Why they felt the need to come and type, as strong in communication. Because when you do, it's because there are things moving in the country. It is because there are risks. At this moment, we understand that the army takes its responsibilities as a guarantor of the continuity of institutions. But what's going on, they didn't tell us. And even in their communique, we talk about rumors. They warn even the populations for the rumors. Regarding the president's health. That's what I was saying earlier. If you want to avoid rumors about the president's health, but clearly establish the president's health status of the republic when it's done. But the rumor can't where the right information is available on the question of the military. We hear it at all because it's a little, the lack also of the seizure of power by arms. When you do it, it's not obvious that all the military agrees with what you have done. After he who is in power is always there another military man who wants to make a coup d'etat. And it creates this psychosis that sometimes brings to trap people for nothing. Is this the situation in Guinea? To the point that we need to affirm as strongly a loyalty that, in a normal army, does not need to be expressed. It is lived in the day through the protection of the President of the Republic. And also, because it is often forgotten the protection of citizens. But they are the ones who led people to settle down all kinds of... And since several months, the Secretary General of the Camara presidency appears as a more and more influential personality. We decreed today, so the do it considered number 2. Of the country it is in fact why you say number 2? By saying number 2, don't you give him problems? Because in our countries, more and more the rule is, we don't want the local press. We don't want a number 2. So let's not create problems. Recognize that he is more and more at the forefront of the political scene. At the level of Guinea in terms of governance. And for me, this is quite normal. A president of the republic's role is not to go everywhere. That too. We have to put things back in their place. His role is to have some leadership. Is to be in a posture of supervision. It is not up to him to go and die in all factories. To see what happens. There are other tools that should allow him to do this. There is the information to know what is going on. But there is a whole government that is there in addition to the advisors who have the rank of minister, but there is a whole set of things who are there to allow a president to be able to play its role without it being a bit of a dud scene from the president. Now, the risk that this gesture takes, it's that if it becomes popular in quotation marks, he risks becoming the opponent of the president. Because we have seen it in many countries, we put ourselves at the service of the president of the Republic, perceived as the true conductor of the presidential apparatus. It is one thing during this period of absence of Doumbouya'S, even during the presence of the president of the Republic. Is it the president of the Republic who decides everything? There are advisors sometimes. Who is closest in every hour. We say the government, there is such a person who is closer to the president of the Republic. It is considered that in decision making. What role does it play? Sometimes it's your advisor who is not a member of the government. I think this is quite normal. That the president, if he sees a person, that this person can help them do their job better, the president approaches this person. But as I say all the time, that we are in the official, that we are in transparent, that we know who does what, and that we don't mix the roles, because otherwise this gesture may quickly become difficult as soon as we will start to say, but why not because him as to we replace say, we are not talking about a replacement. When the king is alive, Deco starts to enter this. But just after 5 years of transition, and what impact can this situation have? In particular on the credibility of the commitments made by the a few years ago, in fact, the CNRD strike was, you will say, hanged up for a long time. They had a hard time getting out of the transition. Remember the events, and all they came out of the transition badly too. Since you saw during the same period, the living forces of Guinea have made a statement to say that they do not support any of these elections. Therefore, it does not recognize any of these authorities, neither the head of state nor the deputies who were elected to the assembly. You see that we are not out of the transition. By reaching EC, which is usually expected at the end of a transition, is that people agree that we are back to the constitutional order. What I mean by the constitutional order, it is a normal form of governance where there are people sweating. People who are opposed. There is a civil society which is the other element. Everyone knows that today freedom of opinion, freedom of assembly are reduced to their simplest expression in Guinea today. But when we put it all together, we have to ask ourselves questions. Who are we afraid of? Or, well, we are afraid of what? Since he was elected, he has a majority in the assembly. Normally, the country should be able to do what it has to do normally, without the need to recall any loyalty, except if they now have information. Because let's not forget that it's them, intelligence professionals, that show that in this country today, contrary to CE, than to the image that one tries to give of the Guinea, which is there in terms of population. For that it is difficult for us to judge. Since we don't allow people to demonstrate. Everyone has seen the washing with bleach that we have done to eliminate a number of political parties, especially the parties that could have created the most problems. But when we have finished doing all this, I think we should be able to quietly, but if you can't quietly, what information do they have to the point of wanting make this? Speaking of loyalty to the head of state, this is the first time that the head of state, Guinean, officially takes a vacation. Since the arrival in power of the vacation that must last a few 3 weeks. Is this period of absence of the head of state is according to you a life-size test? Or solidity, especially institutions that have been in place since their takeover, the interest of elections is of a constitutional power. The interest of avoiding coup d'etat in countries where the president has been elected under normal conditions. But when the president leaves the country, the army does not need to stand up to talk about loyalty. That's it too. We have to accept to be on principles, yeah. When you trample on principles, it's hard to get together. We are obliged to navigate at sight. And this is what is happening a bit in Guinea. But how many heads of state have gone on vacation? How many times during their term of office? Where we talked about it is a head of state who goes on vacation. We need to align the whole of Guinea at the airport because he goes on vacation. There is what of special, of extraordinary in the vacations. We see the American president take his helicopter on vacation. We see the French who president says, well, he goes to such and such a zone, but we to make his vacation. We have seen for 5 years. We see the president going on vacation. Never gave rise to anything extraordinary. And in a normal republic, since there is a vacation planned for the President of the Republic. But it is also foreseen the continuity of the state is provided for in whatever form of a vacation from power. But even more so on vacation, or in reality. When talking about the President is always there. At least call him on the phone to know what he thinks. A president has never returned on vacation. To reality, thank you, Mohammed. Thank you for agreeing to answer our questions. Thank you also for following in decryption. See you later for an interview.
What is happening? Is it that Mamadou Doumbouya'S is sick? So people are saying, even if he has traveled out for medical care. We see that even in our own countries, they do tell us that the president is away. And even if he is away, we have the vice president acting. And if the vice president is not there, the speaker takes the mantle. But the military, we know your job is to make sure the nation is secured. So you don't need to come on national TV to tell us that the man is no more. You are there to take control and you make sure you secure the land. So nobody should do something funny or nobody should try something. And this one, like the analysts use Benin, for instance, when we saw there was a coup in Benin And some of them came on national TV, telling the whole world, we have recaptured Benin. So, the president, Patrice Talon, is no longer the president. And we have another fraction of the military saying, no, we belong to Patrice Talon. We still support him and want to protect him. That when we find ourselves in a situation like that, it is understandable. But for Mamadou Doumbouya to be out of the country, and we have the military, all of them uniting to tell us that we are now in charge, we are protecting, and we are still throwing our support for Mamadou Doumbouya, that there is a question mark. And all of us have been asking questions because we have never seen this before. That the president will travel and the military will take over the national TV to announce that we are not taking care of their country in his absence. Is this a coup? Is it that indirectly they are telling Mamadou Doumbouya and the rest of us that this man is no longer in charge? People are saying we just have to wait until this man is back, because the announcement that we are seeing coming from the military is saying something different, even though they are trying to preach a different narrative, claiming that they are protecting Mamadou Doumbouya'S government. Maybe they are trying to put some fear in anyone that is trying to rise up. But analysts are rejecting that narrative and saying it shouldn't have happened in the first place. If the president has traveled because he's sick or because he's tired and he needs a vacation, that doesn't warrant the military to hijack a national TV. At least we have the media, we have the press, we have the spokesperson for the press. We know we have lots of people who can come out and tell the whole world and the public and then the citizens of Guinea that your president, due to ABC, has left the country and will be back from this period to this period. Then everything dies up. But where things are getting somewhere is when the military themselves took the national TV to give us this announcement. When we all saw that, we realized that something is not adding up. Things are not adding up. We want to know what is happening, because this is a knot. We have never seen this before. That a president will leave is not a coup. The military support the government, and they also have to hijack a national TV to be telling us that we support. No, you only support by protecting, because that's your job, to protect the nation, not to come and make announcements. When the president is not there, the right people to announce to the whole public is there. When the president is not around, we have the right people that will make this announcement. So what is actually happening in Guinea-Conakry? What are your thoughts? We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall. And united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world in Africa, West Africa, and in Guinea-Conakry.